thinks he's Mr. Kung Fu with the bloody camera. Wants to take a
It's a
shot.
nice camera, let me tell you.
What connects me to performance is storytelling. It is collective storytelling. It is sharing moments with people. And what I then discovered is what has always drawn me to it is the theatre, is live performance, is the engagement with an audience, is sharing stories, but sharing stories with people who are in the room. And that kind of led to this idea of, okay, let's create a performing arts center where firstly we can kind of combat this idea that this industry is really hard to break into.
Yeah, so today we're at this lovely venue
Stunning venue.
called POPArt Performing Arts Center.
Yeah.
And what we're doing here today is opening up something that could be big, epic, and legendary for all people
Exactly.
of Johannesburg.
We are very good friends of pop art. We always have been, haven't we, Vince?
We've been very good friends of POPArt.
In fact, we would say that our spiritual home is probably
POPArt.
well, close to pop art. You know, that's the space that inhabits.
Yeah.
Am I getting a bit esoteric?
No, you're not, because last year we all got tattoos that say
Pop art.
5 years without a physical theatre. It's so beautiful to see now that they have a theatre and people can come in Rosebank, have a nice jawl with beautiful people and enjoy shows. So we look forward to activating the space and having more people come through.
Yeah, Sunny
Cheers.
Bonani. Yeah. Lekker doen.
Mandela.
Okay, so we are in the brand new POPArt Performing Arts Center space. Today we decided not to have an opening, but to do an open house. Given that we never really closed, we've been operating our business, we just have been without a kind of current space. We decided that we wanted to open the house, let people in, let people dream with us, and then we'll plan from there. The transition has been long. So it's taken us since 2020 to find a new space. We are here in February 2025. So almost 5 years to find a space that we feel like we can be ourselves in, and that we can invite our collaborators in, and that we can really provide a service to our community. So we were based in Maboneng for 10 years. We had a small theatre space, which was a 60 to 80 seater. And we actually decided to kind of pack it up a little before the pandemic started, just because we were feeling like we were outgrowing the space and we were getting frustrated with a number of different things that we couldn't do there. And so when we closed the space, I said to my business partner at the time, I was like, it's 4 walls, we'll find them. And we packed up the space, we put things in a temporary storage unit, and then the pandemic happened. And then that was like 2 years of just, being able to be quite agile with digital programming, and then going, okay, cool, we really miss having a space. We really feel like what we provide and what our space in the industry is needing to also have a space component. That's a resource that people need. And so we started looking, and we went from suburb to suburb, from building to building, from like cellar to cellar. Like we looked at every possible space, and eventually in May 2024 we came across this space and then did a negotiation for almost a full 6 months. So very pleased and very happy that this is where we've landed, and I can't wait for people to start using the space and sharing it with us. What we did was we kind of wanted to add a performative element to the open day, and it started with a performance called The Agents. The Agents is a show about real estate and what we're paying and kind of the commercial aspect of life these days. And so we decided they would host the open house, and then as we sort of started sharing the vision for the day, more and more performers came on board and said, oh, we can bring a character, we can bring this, we can bring that. And we just thought, like, what a great way to tell people who we are through our performers and our collaborators, and just be like fun and disruptive.
Hi, we are at POPArt. So essentially what we're doing with the buy break is it's a donation for the space, really. Anything that you can give us, we would very much appreciate it. So we are selling each brick for 100 rand. So you can buy 1 brick, 2 bricks, 3 bricks, whatever, and we have your name on the brick, and we are happy, and everyone is having a good time. I've been doing theatre for just over 2 years, and I've been involved with POPArt since last year, November. I think everything. I fell in love with theatre when I went into it, so I've been really, really happy. Of course, I went into it with the performance side of it in mind, which I really, really love, but I've come to learn other things as well in the theatre, and it's been truly amazing.
Very close to us. And I'll tell you something else. The Agents is a devised show, right? We got together in a room, just much like this one. And we
Much
threw some
like this
ideas
space.
around.
Yeah, throwing the ideas around, playing, having fun.
Yeah.
Making the themes.
Making things, and that's why these kinds of spaces are essential
So
for this
important.
kind of work. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying?
Wonderful space where people feel
Aw.
comfortable to come create,
Yeah.
connect with other people that they might not know.
It's a caring space. It's a space in which we are all helping out. Look at us. I mean,
Exactly.
as we said, you know, theatre. It's not the best business model, but we're here to help.
Yeah.
And you know, it's also affordable for artists.
Absolutely.
For independent theatre.
And accessible.
Accessible and
Exactly.
affordable.
Accessible,
Yeah.
affordable,
Exactly.
friendly, caring.
Yes, exactly.
The creative juices are flowing.
Exactly. And Charlene, the lady who owns POPArt.
No, Hayley.
Hayley,
Her
sorry.
name is Hayley.
Hayley.
Oh my God.
She's a genius.
She is a genius.
Genius.
And her team is exceptional.
Is
They are the hardest
Absolutely.
working.
They are so
Look at them working
exceptional.
Look
hard.
at them working. Everywhere you look working.
just
Okay, don't look over there. But
they're
generally
busy
they're
hitting the
looking
bottle
actually.
there.
But it's a celebration. Don't look over there. It's a celebratory moment, and everyone's allowed to have a drink. All right?
Exactly. Okay.
Okay, but usually working bloody hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Most of the time.
We just hope it goes from strength to strength.
Absolutely. What were we saying this morning, Finta? We were saying South
South
Africa
Africa
is
is
a rich tapestry of characters and narratives and comedy
comedy,
gold
satire.
and satire.
Satire and-
The pickings are rich, let me tell you.
Exactly. So we've got all
She
the
does say
content,
this
we've
really.
got the stories,
Yeah.
we've got all the everything.
Yeah, we do.
It's now about sharing it.
And about spaces in which to make and perform the work.
What's his name?
And then
What's that guy's
POPArt.
exactly
back to
POPArt.
POPArt.
Back to
Do you know
Back
who
to
I want to
POPArt.
see
Full
here
circle.
today?
Who?
I want to see Gayton.
Who's Gayton?
Gayton?
Gayton McKenzie.
Mackenzie.
Where's that guy?
I went on a blind date with him once. It didn't go well. No.
Look, but I want to see him here. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, he should be here.
He should be
He
here.
should have his finger
Yeah.
on the pulse of theatre in
He
Johannesburg.
should be injecting that cash into this place.
Yeah.
So Gaties, if
And
you
that's the only thing he should be
if
doing.
you're watching
that's
this,
what I'm
you'll remember Lynn from Brenza from your date.
Yeah.
Say hi to Gayton.
Hi, Gayton.
Okay. It didn't end well, the date.
No.
No.
But it's fun. I respect your position as the
Minister
Minister
of
of
Arts
Arts
and
and Sports.
Minister
Yes.
of Sports
Arts
and Arts and Culture.
Very good at the sports part, but come and give a little love to the theatre. You know
And
what I'm
Brenda.
saying? No,
She was
not
quite-
me. And I'm fine with that part of the relationship being over. But the theatre part, we can still explore
So
that.
come, Gaties.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to see you again.
I think that we just holding on to something.
clothing may indicate a permanent choice and a firm relationship. And the nakedness, the nakedness may be interpreted to convey a negative sexual nuance, giving the impression that Hoshi Saulo Magaranga David, late Jonathan.
Antu abalungileyo wasetsomo emva kwentaba. Oqamatha bandiyalezelele ntsinda badala namhlanje. Ndiyakubona ukubhideka kuyasasazeka ngaphakathi kwenu. Seningoyiki. Nangona lizokufika ixesha lam lokurhwexa emva kweminyaka ndinovumisa ndihambe ndiyophumla phantsi komthi omkhulu.
Ndichipinga chori helipungwiri ritoli aba uri mavo ene khabane yabo ishi asono tangirwa ngaba Department of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development marotwa.
Have I read the signs correctly? Or have I read too deeply into what they're saying? Have we contracted clearly what this unspoken contract is between us? Do I resign from talking? Or do I resign it and carry on going?
Lots of Swifties in the entrance, and I'm sure we'll hear Taylor coming through the walls in a bit, but you are here and we love you for it. Thank you. The 12/12 Festival is a really, really special festival. It always sounds, and it's really hard to write the marketing for it, mostly because it's like we've lost this idea, like the word diversity gets used weirdly. And celebrating our diversity feels like a buzzword. But the festival genuinely is here to celebrate the diversity of languages that we speak as South Africans daily, that we are asked to understand daily, and the effort that it takes for us to really understand and communicate with one another, which should be celebrated. And so I'm really grateful that you as an audience are here to celebrate and explore that with us. And that is what we try to do with each night of the festival, is we try to mix all the languages up in order of, you know, how broadly spoken languages are, so that we hope that everyone will understand fully at least one of the pieces, but also go on the journey with the rest. The second iteration of this festival is completely unfunded. So that, outside of just a huge thank you to the participants and everyone on stage throughout the festival, the only reason this year's festival happened is because people were generous and curious and wanted to make work. So my biggest thank you this year goes to everyone who is on stage and behind the scenes for saying yes to doing it, so that we can have another chance to do it and also do this work that is very important. And I want to say thank you to the co-curators, Sam and Chris. So much fun doing this with you, and much love. A huge thank you to our sponsors in kind, the Joburg Theatre, the Market Theatre Laboratory, the Windy Brow Arts Centre, and to Archetype Media. Thank you so much for what you've brought to the party. A huge thank you to the POPArt team, who have all had different roles in putting this together. Thank you, so much love to you. And then a massive thank you to our technical team, who take 12 shows in 2 days. To Lindo, to Zama, to Longa, thank you so much, and to all the behind the scenes people in the cruise as well. Let's have fun. Please tell everybody about it. I want to see it on everybody's social media tonight. Please, we would love to be full all weekend and have this kind of generosity come to all the pieces. So thank you and lots of love.
My name is Hayley Evans. I am a wearer of many hats, but I think the thing that I'm most known for is co-founding POPArt, which we started as a performing arts center, theater, and later a production company. All the way back in 2011, we founded the space in Maboneng, and we've kind of evolved over the years from one space through the pandemic and to now where we find ourselves back in a performing arts center. I think the thing that drew me to performing arts was a deep love for it as a child. I was always very performative. I was always more able to express myself if I could perform it. Not necessarily with words, but with emotions. And yeah, I mean, I always just, as a kid, I loved being on stage. I loved being with other people. I loved telling stories with other people. And I think as I grew up, that kind of, it's the same narrative we hear all the time is, that's not a viable career option. That's not, you're not going to make money. It's fun, but don't do it for a career. And that kind of stuck with me. And midway through high school, I chose all my subjects, and I chose science and maths and everything. And in grade 11, just decided that I still wanted to be an actor and had to sell that quite hard to my parents. Went to varsity and wanted to be an actor, but wanted to be like a film star. That was really what I thought my trajectory was. So I sold it really hard that I should go to film school when I should have been going to theater school. But I only discovered that when I got into the industry. And yeah, I think, film is quite an interesting thing, and it certainly was an interesting thing at the time that I was getting into the industry post-studying, industry and studying, because we didn't have a very big film and television industry in the country at the time. It was very much about being on soapies, and it was also, at the film school I went to, it was very much about how are we going to use this to go somewhere else. A lot of the people after we graduated were looking, particularly the actors, but also people doing other things, we're looking at how they export their talent and go overseas with it, because that's where the bigger markets are. And there was just something in me that said, that's not what I want to do. And I had to kind of go on a journey of, firstly, unemployment, a lot of bad auditions, a lot of bad audition briefs, and even a lot of quite bad jobs, to go, this is not what connects me to performance. What connects me to performance is storytelling. It is collective storytelling. It is sharing moments with people. And what I then discovered is what has always drawn me to it is the theater, is live performance, is the engagement with an audience, is sharing stories, but sharing stories with people who are in the room. And that kind of led to this idea of, okay, let's create a performing arts center where firstly we can kind of combat this idea that this industry is really hard to break into. This was around maybe 2 years after I'd finished studying. I had just found a frustration with the way that the industry worked. I'd found a frustration with having these massive gaps between auditions. I was lucky enough to have a job. I was a waitress. I had income. That wasn't the panic. The panic was that I just didn't feel like the acting thing was getting anywhere. And at the time, I'd kind of reconnected with Orly and Shoki, who I'd studied with. Both had had their own journeys, had gone overseas, had done other degrees. And we'd had varying levels of success in the performing arts industry, particularly in film and television. And we all had the same kind of feeling that there was something more. And when we got together, we kind of said, okay, well, what we want is we want a space that we can come together and kind of practice, to be consistently honing our craft so that, A, we're meeting more people, we're connecting outside of everyone we studied with, and film is also like this ephemeral thing where you have a job and you leave the job. You don't consistently build a network, you build a reputation. And POPArt just came as this idea of, as people of performing art, a space where we could come together, we could meet, we could sharpen skill. And then this idea came about performing. It was through other people that we'd met, other people who had engaged with this, the idea of the space or the idea of the business, that said, but you know, I've also got the show that I've been sitting on since I was in school, or I've got this idea I'd like to develop. And we very quickly realized that there's process and product, and people, and a big joy of doing what we do is sharing it. And that's how the theatre element came to be. So we had Performing Arts Centre, workshops, community-based events, networking events, and then this theatre came to life through that as well. From my perspective, which feels so weird to say, I really do believe that we've had a massive impact on the performing arts industry, particularly the fringe theatre industry. And I think that it's been something that I've had to check over the last few years because we decided we weren't going to have a space just during the pandemic time. And the idea of wanting to restart again, the need to have a space, and the impact that we've seen on the fringe industry in the absence of us having a space shows me that we were doing something right. I think we have been a platform over the last 15 years for people not only to launch their careers, not only to be seen, even if they are starting their careers, but also for people to try really interesting, weird, fun stuff. And some of that fun stuff goes absolutely nowhere, and some of it goes all over the world. And I love that not everything has to be the same. And I really hope that as we continue, that's one of the key areas we can focus on in terms of our impact, is just to give people the permission and the courage and the resource to create something that's not the same as everything else we've seen. Well, I mean, yeah, so as I said, we made a commitment to be accessible, to read every proposal. But that doesn't mean that we have to put on every work. When I look at a proposal, I kind of firstly go, does it ethically align? Is there any red flag that I see here that makes me think, oh, I don't want to co-present this work? But then it's really a case of also making sure that we would be able to bring an audience to the work. As much as the work is coming to us, we share the responsibility in bringing an audience. And if we feel like someone is maybe going to be wasting a lot of their time and resources getting the work mounted, and we may not find them their audience, that's something that we consider. There's obviously work that excites us more thematically because we're like, that's a pop art piece. But that doesn't mean that if something isn't, it doesn't deserve a chance to be staged. So there's a bunch of considerations where we go, is it going to be a viable option? And sometimes we might also go, well, if you want to try that out, let's just do one night. So it's not a drain on people's resources. But it also is about like where the work is coming from. For example, if someone's coming all the way from Cape Town, it's going to cost them a lot of money to get here. Can we make that worth their while? But then there's also, so we have inbound proposals, but then I will also go out and look at work. I will go to new festivals. I'll go to student showcases. I will not always take up every invitation, but I will try and watch as much new and exciting work as I can to see if that is something that is a show that we can work with. There's been a lot of very memorable performances. So our old business model in Maboneng was to run a new show every single week. So we ran festival style, which meant in a year we kind of did 52 and maybe more new pieces a year. So there are lots of like moments that one can kind of pull out from that. But I think there was a show called Dirt, which was a one-man show written by Nick Warren, directed by Janine Collicott, with James Cairns. That was a show where I was like, oh, we actually have a theater. Before that, I was like, we were just playing with lights. But then these really skillful people came in and showed us the potential of our own space. That's a standout moment for me. We had a show called The Epicene Butcher. It was written by Gwydion Bainan, directed by John Trenchgrove, performed and conceptualized by Gemma Khan. It was the biggest audience hit we ever had. the first, and it's a Japanese kamishibai form of storytelling, so it was very experimental. Gemma had kind of put this proposal in and said, I don't really know what I'm doing with this. I don't know where it's going. I've just gotten back from Japan and I'd like to see how this can happen. And the first show had 17 people. And since that show has never been sold out. It's never not been sold out. That show has every single performance of that show, whether it's in Joburg or Cape Town or somewhere abroad. She's done quite a few festivals with it. It's just been an audience hit, which is amazing. And that it also, Epicene Butcher inspired the second production, which was called We Didn't Come to Hell for the Croissants, which was the first show that POPArt produced in collaboration with Gemma. So that was also like a really nice journey. Paul Noko's Fruit was one of those. It was a one-person show. Also just made us realize like how special and how small something can be, like that the theater doesn't need to be big, but that the actor on stage can be an absolute giant. And she really, yeah, like that, and also that idea that like this person is in front of me and I'm feeling and we're feeling together. I think that was a huge one for me. Yeah, there's just been a massive volume of shows over the years. But those were very early days, and those feel like really standout moments of people telling me what I was doing, and that I think is also a testament to like if you provide a resource, if you have a space and you open and you kind of give it love and nurture it in a particular way, it can also give back to you. Those are shows that I really think gave back to the vision of POPArt. I'm feeling really positive about the next few years at POPArt. I think it feels really grounding to be in a space, and once again, to just have a space where people can come together, engage with one another, meet, network, discuss ideas. Not necessarily, you know, when you go out to the theater, it's like, oh, well, how many people are here? Who, you know, it's not the same kind of thing. As the space feels like really casual, and it feels like magic really can happen here and dreams really can come true here. So I'm excited about just the kind of programming we're able to do here. I'm excited about the kind of expansiveness that we can be dealing with different age groups in that work, and we can be bringing in new collaborators that didn't even know about us before, because we have a different kind of visibility where we are, and also that we can merge an entire following that we have with new people. Those are like really yummy, exciting things for the future. But I think really what was so interesting, and again, it's not necessarily any kind of visionary moment, it's just going, I'm responding to the space. These are the four walls we've found. So there's limitations to what we can do. We're in a residential neighborhood. But you know what? It's really exciting to not have to do a new show every week. We don't have that. The fringe industry has suffered over the past few years. We don't have that kind of volume of work being produced. We can kind of scale down our program in terms of live shows. The live shows are really about discovering dramaturgy with audience members, having post-show conversations, inviting the audience into that first moment. But a lot of the work that will happen here is about work and development and really giving resource to new work. So I think that's really where we're going to be focusing a lot of our energy, certainly a lot of our funding energy towards getting resource and paying people to be in the space, to be working and making new work. But I also do see a capacity to grow into different mediums. I think we've gotten really good at storytelling because we're in the room with our audience. And I think that can really enhance other mediums as well. So we might be a multimedia production company. Yummy. Delish.
The South African industry, any last words and just about where you see that going? Can corporates also play a role in just developing this? Because obviously, you know, there's a lot of students who study drama in high school, they get to varsity, they realize the industry isn't what they thought it might be, but that's obviously just funding and corporates not really being there, or I don't know, maybe you just
Yeah, and a lack of presence from people who are supposed to be guiding this thing. Like there's a distinct lack of leadership. But I think, you know, I often say this to my students, to think back to 2007, 2008 when I graduated, and to see the shift of the entire performing arts industry, the amount of options that people who studied acting have when they graduate is so much more than was available 15 years ago. So there has been growth. We might be judgy about the products that are being produced, but I think the improvement is massive and that's only going to go up. So that's really good. I'd love to see, like I said, I'd love to see a sense of leadership come into all the storytelling spaces. I think there needs to be some like really good decision-making, good direction. For example, like we do the 12/12 Festival, which is a multilingual festival. And like in film and television, I'd love to also just see that decision of like, no, we're not going to try and do an all-language show. This is a very particular kind of product. This is a particular kind of, and this is how these people would speak. And we're going to trust that we put that out there and the audience is going to enjoy it. So I think, yeah, I feel good about it. I think there's also a moment like where I think in entertainment, in storytelling, we've thrown a bunch of stuff against the wall and we're seeing what sticks. And now what sticks might be really great and it'll give us a lot more kind of space to play in. I think definitely we could do with more funding, particularly the live arts. Live arts is expensive, but it's important. Yeah, so just to see how we can engage more kind of corporate funding in terms of helping people get their message across. If, you know, Black Label wants to say no excuses, there's like 30 plays on gender-based violence that could travel around the country that need that kind of money. And that can have genuine impact. So I think I'd also love to kind of, I know that theatre took a big whack during COVID, and there's always been this thing, or for as long as I've certainly been in the industry of this, like theatre is dead. And I'd love for the growth for theatre and live performance particularly, whether it also be performance art or first-person storytelling. It doesn't have to be a big show, it doesn't have to be a play, but this live engagement post-COVID as well, just to see like an appreciation for that again. And for us to stop having that narrative of like, this thing is dying, this thing is dead. It's not going to die, it's going to be here. How do we embrace it? How do we love it? How do we appreciate it? How do we enjoy it?
Amen to that. So where can the people find you online if they're interested in reaching out to POPArt, all that information?
We have got a very active, at POPArt, we've got a very active social media presence. So we're at POPArt JHB on all the social media platforms. And then we have a website that I have really neglected as a business owner, but it's at www.popartcenter.co.za. And that's kind of the easiest way to get, that's where you can apply to do a show. That's a very easy way to get in touch.